Good afternoon and welcome to Luminary Leaders Live. We come to you a couple of times a week so that you can really capture some of the guests that we have on here are just really all of them, not some. All of them are phenomenal, very informative, and they will help you in your business. Today is no different. I have a client that we actually represent, and his name is Gerry Foster, and you'll meet him in just a minute. My name is Shelly Harrison, and I am the CEO of Luminary Leaders. And we are a speaker management and consulting company, and we work worldwide. So if you have an event and you need a speaker, you'll want to connect with me because we have some phenomenal speakers, and you're going to meet Gerry today. On this broadcast today, feel free to comment, chime in the conversation. We want to hear your comments. Subscribe on LinkedIn and on YouTube because we're streaming on YouTube and LinkedIn. So we're live. And, if you're watching the replay, awesome, because we want you to be a part of this and hear what Gerry has to say. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Gerry Foster, who is a branding evangelist. He is an expert in every sense of the word. He has been doing this work for, going back, some years, and this has been his passion for so many years. So you're going to hear some things from him. He doesn't create logos. He doesn't, do all the things that go on pens and calendars and cups, but you're going to hear the strategic formula, not all of it, because we don't want to give it all away, but you're going to hear the strategies that he uses, and you're going to hear about him speaking. He's a big time speaker. So without further ado, Gerry, I want to introduce you. How are you?
Oh, I am hyena happy and peacock proud, as I like to say, Shelly.
I love it. I love your energy.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Gerry, happy to have you on the show today, and welcome to Luminary Leaders, because, we have not had a branding expert, and I'm so excited that we have you now because there are so many events out there that need to hear what you have to say. And what I'd love to hear is a little bit about you, and then we'll kind of get into the nuts and bolts.
Well, I'm technically what's called a brand strategist as opposed to a brand designer. And as you've heard me say before, Shelly, just like someone who owns a house cleaning service may say they don't do windows. Well, I love to tell people I don't do logos, swag bags, tote bags, websites, and things that people can see. Because as a brand strategist, I know that great brands are built strategically and not visually. And so what I do is I show small business owners how to take what they have and really illuminate it. How about that? So they can be a leader in their space, get known, get found, and get paid, because you have to have a magnificent brand today.
Yes, we had you at an event last week where it was a panel, and some of the things, I took very copious notes every time you spoke, because you were speaking just to my music, because I'm all about, building my own brand, building the brand of my clients. And when you talk about, like, for example, you have the big brand formula. Tell us about that.
Well, that's a one-of-a-kind system that allows owners to big brand what they have to sell. Because at the end of the day, you're either standing out or you're blending in. And so what I do is I show owners how to create a big brand and a strong message that sells, so they can excite, delight, and ignite their market and make it a lot easier to get customers. And that's all done organically, because you really have to get into the root of what's going to draw people to you, so that as an owner, you can become the honey and not the fly. In other words, honey attracts and flies chase. And so in today's turbulent pandemic marketplace that we're all competing in, you've got to do everything you can to stand out, get noticed, and be remembered for offering something unique, so that then you can be rewarded for your individuality. And that's what I do.
No, I love that, because that, that just really differentiates a company, any kind of a company. And I would imagine, you've worked with some big brands, and, speaking on stage last prior to COVID, I know that you've been on some large stages and traveled the country, and how have things changed for you as a speaker or keynote speaker? Now, depending on, of course, we've got some things opening up, and live events will eventually come back. But how are you utilizing this platform now in a virtual world?
I tell you, and that's a great question. I personally love speaking at virtual conferences because it seems like I'm able to connect more with the people who are listening to me. Sure, nothing can replace a live event. However, I'm finding that when we're doing stuff virtually, like you and I are doing today, I'm able to connect with people even closer. And people have said to me, Gerry, I felt your message. I really, really connected with you in terms of what you had to share. And that just means everything to me.
Oh, yeah. And I even, as far as your website, I watched several of the videos of the testimonials of people, and time after time again, people were just raving about the way that you work with them and how you help them really cultivate their brand and help them stand out. In the branding world, Gerry, what do you kind of want to share with the audience that we have today, but also when you're on stage, what, virtual or live, what is the most important information that you want to communicate that you specifically do or solve for businesses?
Most of the people who come to me are usually in one of four places. One is the person out there, let's say, who has a dream. They have an idea, they have a concept, perhaps an invention or something written on a napkin, and they want to go into business for themselves. Okay, they want to start a business. The second person is someone who, let's say, has a full-time job, but they have their own business on the side. And so in this gig economy of ours today, they want their side hustle to become their full-time hustle, as they say. So that person really wants to scale up that part-time business so it can become a full-time business. And the third is a person, let's say, who's already started their business, but they've only been at it for maybe a year or so. And so they're in that startup mode. And then, of course, we have the veterans who have been at it more than a year, perhaps 5, 10, 20 years. And regardless of what stage they are, what they have in common, Shelley, is that they realize we live in a brand conscious world today. It's all about your brand. It's all about the brand, or you choose to be bland, as I put it.
Yeah, right? That's so true. That is so true.
Oh yeah, because when people come to me, they realize that, oh yeah, hey, Gerry, I've got a product, but it's not a brand, right? And I go, no, it's not. And you need to understand that a brand is more than a logo. I doubt if the Coca-Cola people prefer Coke because it's in the red can, and the Pepsi people because it's in the blue can. It's what's inside the can that counts. And so the question to all owners that I have, Shelley, is what's going inside your can, so that people do what? Choose you over the competition.
Yes. Oh yeah. And that's such a great analogy because, all of us can relate to, like, look at Blockbuster. Look what happened with Blockbuster. Many, many years ago, they were such a big brand and then they fizzled, and there are other brands that did the same. And I'm sure we can name quite a few of them, but really to stand out. What do you think the mindset of the CEO or the owner of the company really needs to be when it comes to branding their company?
That in order to scale, in order to have more impact, in order to get more customers, make more money, whatever their goals may be, they have to have three things working for them: their branding, their marketing, and their selling. It's the golden triangle. First, you nail down your brand, and then you sell and market the heck out of it. It's always branding followed by marketing followed by selling. The three have to work together. And the job of branding is to do what? Differentiate your business, to let the world know you've got something nobody else does. And the job of marketing is to get people to pay attention to that difference, desire that difference. And then selling is to get people to pay for that difference. As I like to put it, Shelley, branding will get you known, marketing will get you found, and selling will get you paid. Okay. Now, I say that for a reason, because Shelley, so many
That's the formula.
Oh my God, Shelley, so
Yeah.
many owners think that marketing is the holy grail. Oh my goodness. If I have a marketing funnel, if I run Facebook ads, if I do online marketing, I'll be okay. I'll be okay. Well, wait a minute. Not necessarily. If you have a
That's
strong brand, then your
mhm.
marketing can be more effective because now it's going to require fewer impressions to do what you want the marketing to do. So therefore, $1
Yeah.
works like $5. You get a higher return on your marketing investment. And so what I do as a brand strategist is I make sure that the owner has a solid, multi-layered foundation in place so
Mm,
that they have what's called a standalone brand. And that's the key.
yeah.
You're either me only as opposed to me too.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Something to think about. Yeah. And, when I look at brands and I think, what are they doing to differentiate themselves? And I always look for that uniqueness. And that's typically who I'll do business with. As a speaker, I'm sure for you, you could be impacting so many, companies in terms of their CEOs and the directors of their companies. How do you see when you're talking with business owners, what kind of goes through your mind when you're sitting there and you've got a captive audience? What goes through your mind when you're sharing, and what is going through your mind that you really want people to kind of get the nuts and bolts of what you're saying?
Probably it would be this: unless you're distinct, you risk being extinct.
Mm,
You're either standing out or you're invisible.
mm-hmm.
And you're always going to be more successful if you make it a point to deviate, not conform. In other words, be the exception, not the rule. Now, when
Mm,
you think about that, to be the exception and not the rule, that means that
yeah.
that owner is making the decision that they're going to go against the flow and not with the flow. It's always better to do what, Shelley? Lead the crowd than follow the crowd, which means
Yeah.
that in their space, their industry, whatever it may be, and my sweet spot, Shelley, is how
Uh-huh.
to brand services, skills, talents, abilities, any kind of expertise, because branding services is much different than branding a product. Because when you have a product,
Yes, that's so
the
true.
consumer can sample it, right? They can
Mhm.
test drive the product, so to speak. But with a service, in the eyes of the consumer, you're selling the invisible, you're selling vapor. And so when I
Mm,
big brand people, like personal brands as well as
yeah.
service brands, I literally brand it in a very clever way whereby it
Mhm.
shows up as if it's a physical product in the eyes and the heart and the mind of the buyer so
Yeah.
that the conversions, right, are higher because it's a
Mm.
true bona fide brand.
Yeah. So, it's almost like you want to be a disruptor in terms of, being, like you said, don't be the follower, you want to be different and more unique. And I think people that are open to taking risk, or just really working with someone like you, number one, to really to help mold their brand, or what their differentiator is. When you talk with audiences, who is your ideal audience?
The small business owner.
Small business.
And yeah, and in this great country of ours, the small business owner includes the solopreneur, the mompreneur, independent professionals, solo practitioners, contractors, anyone who has something special to offer the world. So I do a lot of work with solopreneurs, as you know, but I also though work with companies that may have a few employees, sometimes up to 20 employees. But what they all have in common is usually this: something's bothering them in
Mm,
terms of their sales, their cash flow, their growth, and they can't
yeah.
quite put their finger on it. And a lot of times, Shelley, they've put a lot of money into marketing. They've hired all these coaches with little
Yeah.
or nothing to show in return. And so I come in and I make sure that they have the strongest brand possible. And when I say that, I
Mm,
mean to make sure that their brand has the strongest body, voice, and spirit possible so that the
yeah.
brand can do what they want it to do. Now, a lot of that,
Yeah.
Shelley, is called rebranding. And I do a lot of that where sometimes
Mhm.
someone has a brand. However, they want their brand to have more impact. And so we re-engineer,
Mm.
revamp, retool, reimagine. And as you know, big companies rebrand all the time because you got to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you got to maintain
that's
your edge.
yeah. I
Collaborate.
know we went through that in 2019 and it was, I mean, it was fun, it was exciting, and now I love, just the innovation that we've created through using my new brand.
Mm.
Not so new anymore though. The one thing that I really enjoyed doing, and it was on your website where people, and I want you to kind of share, it's a very comprehensive survey that people can take to learn more about their brand. Can
Yes.
you share a little bit about that and let people know where to go to find that survey?
Oh, absolutely. If
Yeah.
they go to Big Brand Biz, B-I-Z, quiz.com, bigbrandbizquiz.com, sort of a play off words, Big Brand Biz quiz.com, it allows someone to muscle test their brand, to see where their brand is strong or weak in 25 core strategic branding areas that they may not even be aware of,
Yeah.
right? So that then they can see what the missing pieces may be that could be hurting or hindering their success or standing in the way of their marketing and selling not paying off the way they wanted to. Because I tell you this, quite often, at the heart of the problem in terms of what is it that is causing some of these slowdowns or less than desired sales is
Yeah.
because their brand is not as strong as it could be. So the assessment, my quiz, once they answer some questions, it'll take them all to 3 to 5 minutes because they're rating themselves on a scale of 1 to 10 in these key areas. They're going to get back a report of findings, and then they can see exactly what's going on.
Where they're, and you gave a really great report after. So when I was going through it, very comprehensive, and it really made me think.
Yeah.
Had to think, oh my gosh, this really is, it makes you more aware of your brand and how you're marketing, and the report that you provided at the end. I mean, and this is all for free.
Yeah.
However, I mean, you definitely, I think definitely a call would be beneficial for anybody that's looking to rebrand or get their brand started. Maybe they have an idea of a business, and it's a great idea and it just needs to be branded.
Well, I know it sounds cliche, but you don't know what you don't know. And the worst
Yeah.
thing for anybody to do, especially when it comes to branding, is to act like you know what you don't know, or what you don't know is not that important. And so for a
Yeah.
lot of owners, they realized that what's standing in the way of their own progress in terms of driving growth is themselves.
Yeah.
And be open to this
Yeah.
thing called branding because we live in a brand conscious world. People prefer to do business with a brand. And that's why people have what's called brand preference. You heard me talk about this. Some
Mhm.
people prefer Nike over Adidas. Some people prefer Coke over Pepsi, or vice versa. Some people prefer, like me, Grubhub for my food delivery because I'm just not learning how to cook. But I prefer Grubhub over
Oh,
DoorDash or Uber Eats. There's nothing wrong
yeah.
with Uber Eats or DoorDash. I have a preference for
You just have
Grubhub.
a preference,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So what's
Exactly.
happening for owners, especially those who offer services, is they fail to recognize that if they were to brand, especially big brand, those services, they're going to generate what's called brand preference so that people see them as the smart choice.
Mm. Gosh. And on that note, how can people find you and reach out to you?
My website, jerryfosterbranding.com, Jerry with a G, jerryfosterbranding.com. They can go there. It's loaded with content, videos, solutions, resources.
Yeah.
I get nothing but wonderful compliments about not only my brand quiz, okay, but also my website. So that's always a great.
It truly is. And I have to second that.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And for those of you that are watching right now, we are here with Gerry Foster. His website is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. So take a screenshot or go back and rewind once, if you're watching the replay. And I really want to thank you, Gerry, for being here with me today on Luminary Leaders Live, because a lot of people, they misunderstand what a brand is. And clearly pointed out today what makes a brand, what differentiates a brand. And as a speaker, we definitely want people to know that you are available for virtual events, and you have several different topics that you can cover within branding. And like he said, folks, he can speak to audiences with sole proprietors, entrepreneurs, people that own their own companies. So there's a lot of areas that he can help folks with branding.
Well,
Gerry,
they call me the branding evangelist. And so I preach and teach the gospel of branding. And when I do live events or virtual, my goodness, I give people
the energy is there.
They're like, whoa. Yeah. And I'm known for my content. That's
yes.
Rich content
Yes.
and very unique delivery style.
You sure are. And I'm excited because we have you speaking on the magic of branding in March 25th. Gerry will be presenting for the Veterans Chamber of Commerce. We have a leadership meeting that I host. And if you want more details, to register, it is free. And you would get to have a full 45 minutes of Gerry and his greatness on branding. So again, March 25th, we hope that you reach out to me, and I could certainly give you in fact, I'll put the registration page on this post once it's out. And again, Gerry,
Shelley, I'll put out myself because, I love to reach out and talk and touch people. So it's area code 310-382-6539. 310-382-6539. That's my cell. I'm a texter. Send me a text. Say, Gerry, I love you. I heard you. Yes.
And you're available. You actually pick up the phone. And that's so funny that we all think that we can't pick up the phone, that we actually have to make an appointment with someone just to talk to them. I think making yourself available, that's what branding is all about, being available, right? And accessible.
Yeah. And being authentic, right?
And being authentic.
Yeah. We love brands that speak to our heart. And what I do as part of my branding is I show owners how to strike the right branding chords so that they can do what? Find the rhythm of their brand and dance to the beat of their market.
Oh, I love that. And with that, thank you again, Gerry. We're going to say to our audience, thank you so much for joining us. And we hope you can watch the replay if you didn't catch it live. And subscribe to my LinkedIn page for more amazing speakers like Gerry Foster. And with that, have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.